Had a rather strange character, a bit unstable, up one moment, down the next, but in the last few months she has become rapidly worse. You've seen a doctor, I suppose? Of course. Several. The very best. And there's nothing the matter with her. Nothing whatever. Physically, you mean? But psychologically? Nothing on that side either. At least... He fidgeted with his hands and brushed away some ash that had fallen on his waistcoat. There is something, all the same. I tell you, it's quite a case. At first I too thought there was something at the back of her mind, troubling her. Some unreasoning fear provoked by the war, for instance. She would suddenly relapse into silence and hardly hear what was said to her. Or she would stare at something, and I can't tell you what a queer impression it made. I know this sounds absurd, but it was as though she was seeing things invisible to the rest of us. Then, when she came back to her normal self, she would have a slightly bewildered expression on her face, as though it took her a little time to recognize her surroundings, and even her own husband. He relit the cigar which he had allowed to go out, and he too stared vacantly in front of him with that baffled air that Flavieres knew of old. "If she's not ill, physically or mentally," said Flavieres, with a touch of asperity, "she's putting on an act. She's probably—" Gervigny raised his hand to stop him. "I thought of that, and I've been watching her, discreetly. One day I followed her. She went into the Bois de Boulogne, sat down in front of the lake, and stayed there without moving, contemplating the water." "There's nothing in that." "Oh, yes, there is. Though it's not so easy to explain. She was looking at the water with a quite extraordinary gravity and attention, as though it was of the utmost importance to her. And then, that evening, she blandly told me that she hadn't been out of the house. Of course, I didn't let on that I'd seen her." Flavieres kept on, finding, then losing again the fellow student he had known, and the game was getting on his nerves. "Listen," he said. "Either your wife's ill or she's up to some game or other. There's no getting away from that. And if it's the latter, there's probably a man in the background." Gervigny stretched his hand out towards the ash-tray on the desk, and with a flick of his finger knocked off a long cylinder of white ash. He smiled sadly. "Your mind works exactly as mine did. But I'm absolutely certain Madeleine is not an unfaithful wife. On the other hand, Professor Lavrenne assures me she's absolutely normal. For the rest, why should she put on an act, as you call it? To gain what? After all, one doesn't build up a mountain of make-believe just for fun. One doesn't go and study the water in the Wat for 2 hours for nothing. And it isn't as if that was an isolated instance. There have been plenty of others." "Have you tried to have it out with her?" "Yes, naturally. I've asked her what it was took hold of her when she suddenly went off into a dream." "What did she say?" "That I oughtn't to bother about it, that she didn't dream, that she worried like anyone else about the present state of the world." "Was she annoyed you asked her?" "Yes, a bit, but still more embarrassed." "Did you get the impression she was lying?" "Not at all. The impression I got was that she was afraid. Look here, do you remember— this'll make you smile— a German film called Jacob Böhme? We saw it at the Ursuline back in the 20s. "Yes." "Do you remember the expression on the mystic's face when he was caught in a sort of visionary trance, and he tried to find excuses and hide the fact that he had visions? Well, Madeleine's face looked like that German actor's, a bewildered, groping look. I might almost say a drunken look." "Come on. You're not trying to tell me your wife has visions, are you?" "I knew that would be your reaction, just as it was mine. For a long time I held out, refusing to believe what I saw." "Does she go to church?" "Like hundreds of others, because it's the thing to do." "Has she ever dabbled in fortune-telling or any of that psychic stuff?" "Never. She's never taken up anything of that sort. This is quite different. Something seems to happen to her, and all of a sudden you realize she's somewhere else." "Do you think it's quite involuntary?" "I'm sure of it. I've been watching her long enough now to know something about it. She feels